Healthcare is something that's needed in this country. Point blank, period. I'm not about to argue with people. I'm not about to fuck around. We need a healthcare system that doesn't send people into medical bankruptcy. We need a healthcare system that allows everyone to get care regardless of your financial situation in this country. We need a healthcare system that puts people over profits. In the richest country in the world, there is no excuse why people are either rationing life-saving medicines that they need, while people are choosing not to go to the doctor because they know if they do get that checkup, if they do go to the emergency room, they're going to come back with a bill that they cannot afford to pay. There is no excuse in this country why our healthcare costs continue to rise. There is no excuse in the richest country in the world why prices of medicine is skyrocketing. We are living in unprecedented times. We are living through a pandemic and an economic crisis, and millions of people in this country don't have health care. So if they get sick, God forbid, what are they going to do? That's the question that a lot of people are faced with. Or if you do have health care, you're faced with the fact that your insurance has gone up. And that's money you can't afford to put towards higher healthcare costs, because your check is allocated for something. When it comes in, you already know in your head where all that money is going to. Now you have to work with a reduced paycheck. So that's going to hurt people more. That's going to set people back even more. You know, we're living in a time where people are going medically bankrupt. They are filing medical bankruptcy. Getting sick and seeking treatment in the richest country in the world is bankrupting people. There are people who are lucky enough to have life savings who are wiping themselves out to either care for themselves or to care for loved ones. There is no excuse for this. And people have a right to be angry. People have a right to curse out their politicians, their elected officials, the people who claim to represent them, but then go to Congress and don't fight for the policies that Americans support. And the craziest thing is, Medicare for all has support on both sides. It isn't a partisan issue. Conservatives support this policy as well as liberals, because it's not a partisan thing to get sick in this country. It affects us all. A friend of mine always likes to tell me we have to be our own medical advocates. We have to fight for ourselves because no one else is going to. And if that means making a ruckus, if that means getting on people's nerves, getting under their skins, rubbing people the wrong way, to fight for a policy that you know is going to benefit the people who you are pissing off, then so be it. So be it. The time for civility is over. I understand people who say now isn't the time to be doing this. We have to wait for the right moment. Okay, let me ask you, when is the right moment? You're in the middle of a pandemic. Majority of the Western world has free healthcare. Americans have a category when they're filing for bankruptcy to check medical. How is this normal? How is this right? If we're not going to do this during a pandemic, when is the right time to do this? People want to wait. You have the luxury of waiting. A lot of people don't. There are millions of people who are sick with debilitating illnesses or pre-existing conditions like hypertension who need medicine to stabilize some of this crap, right? And they choose not to go to the doctor because they can't afford it. Or if they go to the doctor, they know that they're receiving a bill they can't afford to pay. And then it's going to go into collections. And then you have your doctor's bill on top of whatever collections is paying. And that's more money you just can't afford to pay. So when is the time to fight for yourself? When is the time to say, we need this now? No more waiting, no more games. We need this now. And if you're not going to fight for us, let's put people in there who will. If you're too afraid, okay, good for you. Step aside. Let's get the next person in here. When are we going to do that? Why do we have to always be civil? Why do we have to always be nice? Oh, we need to watch our tones. No, fuck that. Forget that. We are living in unprecedented times. The amount of crap that the working class has to go through in this country is disgusting. It's sickening. And it should piss you off. It should get you mad. And use that anger to fuel you. To push and push and push and fight for yourself. Fight for yourself. Fight for policies you know is going to help you. And don't let anyone tell you you shouldn't be angry. Don't let anyone tell you to watch your goddamn mouth. Don't let anyone tell you to watch your fucking tone. Don't let them do that. Because they have the luxury of sitting on their ass and saying now is not the time. The people who are in that fight, who know what it's like, they know you don't have that luxury. They know you don't have time to waste, and they know you don't have games to play. There needs to be a vote for Medicare for all. It needs to be brought to the House floor, and we need to see people go on record to show during a pandemic they choose to support big pharma and not the American working class, and they will not give you free healthcare. And I don't give a damn the excuses that they use. Oh, if you like your employer-based healthcare, you can keep it. Most people don't like their employer-based healthcare. They take it because they don't have another option. It's either something or nothing. So there is a current movement going on right now called Force the Vote, where it's basically asking progressives to use the leverage that they have to force Nancy Pelosi to bring the bill out of committee. Now, this bill was started by Representative Pramila Jayapal. It's a Medicare for All bill. It's HR 1384. Right? Since Democrats have basically whittled down their majority because of the last presidential election, it only takes a handful of Democrats to hold Pelosi's speakership hostage, basically, because she wants a fourth term. Now, people are calling for the squad, which is composed of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib. If they can find enough support, theoretically, right, within the Progressive Caucus to get them to withhold their vote, then they could force Nancy Pelosi to do something during, shocking, a pandemic that will actually help the working class. Now, without a majority of votes, the only way to bring a bill out of committee on the House floor where it can be publicly debated is if the Speaker of the House agrees to do so. So that's why they're telling the progressives to withhold your vote. Because power concedes nothing without a demand. If you're just going to give up before you even try to fight, then you already lost. And if you're afraid to do something, step to the side. And it takes a strong person to realize when they're afraid to do something and they need to move out the way. Now, this campaign was started by Jimmy Dore, who is a comedian, and he is also a YouTube pundit. AOC has disagreed with this approach. She's saying, why hold your vote for something and then it fails to even go through? Remember, women's suffrage failed many times before it passed in order for them to force their right to vote. So people are asking elected representatives to do their job. Now, over 14 million Americans have been kicked off their employer-based healthcare insurance as they lost their jobs during the shutdown. A Fox News exit poll showed that 72% of Americans support a single-payer healthcare system, and half of Republicans support Medicare for all. 88% of Democrats support this policy. Critics of this plan argue that demanding a floor vote for a bill that won't pass the House, much less the Senate, wastes progressives' political capital. But if you aren't even going to fight anything, or if you're not even going to fight for it, then what capital do you have? To just go on TV and blame Republicans for things? Okay, that's nice. Anybody can do that. We know their policies are shit. Okay, great. What next? What next? Can't blame Trump anymore. He's about to leave office. So what are they going to do? You're not even fighting for policies that your base supports during a pandemic, during an economic crisis. You don't think that that burden on the working class's back can be lifted if you actually fight for them? We know that if this bill is ever brought to the floor, President-elect Biden already said that he is going to veto this bill. You know, he's received money from insurance and pharmaceutical industry employees more than any other candidate in the Democratic primary race. And his senior advisor is a former healthcare lobbyist. So we already know where he stands. He has a 47-year record of showing people where he stands on policy issues. So people shouldn't act surprised or shouldn't act confused. But this isn't about him. This is about our congressional representatives who have the power to do something now. The reason why people are pushing this hard is because it's born out of frustration, right? Because we know that the media historically shields Democrats from accountability to their constituents when it comes to healthcare. According to the Center for Responsive Politics, healthcare companies spent just shy of $568 million on lobbying in 2018, more than any other industry. And it always comes back to the same issue with Americans: money and politics. Our system is corrupt. Our system isn't designed to help the working class, the working poor, the poor in this country, the middle class. It's designed to help the elite, the millionaires, the billionaires, the corporations, the technocrats. It's designed to help them and benefit them, while the rest of us are left to pick up crumbs. There are more of us than there are of them. And it's time we start realizing that. It's time we start running with that mentality. I support force the vote. I support holding our elected representatives accountable. We elected you to fulfill policy in our place. This is a policy that majority of Americans support. This will help people. This will save lives. There's no excuse. There's no more. Now is not the time. The time is now. You need to do your goddamn jobs. So I'm going to leave you guys with a quote from the man who started this entire movement, Jimmy Dore. All I'm doing is I'm saying what AOC said when she was running for office. And people are going nuts about it. Force the vote.